Factorial is a function that operates on non-negative integer n and returns product of all natural numbers up to n. For example, factorial of 6 will be denoted by 6 and then that sign of exclamation, that which is a sign that in fact is used for calculating factorial. So 6 factorial will be equal to product of all natural numbers up to 6, means 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And if we take the product, that should be equal to 720. This means 6 factorial is equal to 720. So let's take this as an example 1. And if we take another example, in this example we will take 7 factorial over 5 factorial. So if we want to calculate 7 factorial divided by 5 factorial, this means we are going to write product of natural numbers up to 7 means 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and in the denominator we are going to write 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And you can see that we can cancel out 5 up to 5 in the numerator and denominator. What leaves us behind is 7 times 6, and that would be equal to 42. So this is equal to value of 7 factorial over 5 factorial. Remember that 0 factorial is equal to 1. Remember 0 factorial is always equal to 1, as well as 1 factorial is also equal to 1. So these are the two assumptions that you should remember. And if we do another example here, write 987 in the form of factorial. Write the following in the form of factorial. So let's write down example 3. Write down the following in form of factorial. And the first number is here. The first number is 9 times 8 times 7. So 9 times 8 times 7. If we want to write this number in the form of factorial, obviously what we can do is 9 times 8 times 7 is already there. Let's draw the line and then multiply this given number with 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, so that in the numerator we have the product of consecutive natural numbers all the way up to 9. But because we multiplied 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, we got to divide the same thing as well. So we are going to write 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and this will give us in the numerator, you can see that is a product of consecutive natural numbers all the way up to 9. Therefore this would be equal to 9 factorial, and in the denominator we can write 6 factorial, because in the denominator we have product of natural numbers all the way up to 6. Therefore this is okay to write this number as 9 factorial over 6 factorial. Here we have another example, and this time we are going to write, so example is here, and this time we have n plus 2 time n plus 1 time n, and our task is to write this in the form of a factorial. If that is the case, n is just a number, and in order to write the next number, we can subtract 1 from the given number. Like if there was 5, what will be the next number? That will be 5 minus 1, that will be equal to 4. So here if we write this as, let's draw the line and then write n plus 2 time n plus 1, that's 1 less than n plus 2. What is 1 less than n plus 1? That is n. And what would be the next number? 1 less than n. 1 less than n would be n minus 1. And what would be 1 less than n minus 1? That would be n minus 2. This way we will continue all the way until we reach to 3, 2, 3, 2 and 1. But because the given numbers were only n plus 2, n plus 1 and n, we have multiplied this product of natural numbers up to n minus 1. We have to divide the same thing as well. So this would be n minus 1, n minus 2 and so on all the way up to 3 times 2 times 1. And you can see that in the numerator, this is a product of all natural numbers up to n plus 2. Therefore, this can be written as n plus 2 factorial divided by n minus 1 factorial. Because in the denominator, we have a product of all natural numbers up to n minus 1. That's why this will be called n minus 1 factorial. If we do another example, this time we have third example here is n time n minus 1, n minus 2, so on up to n minus r plus 1. So this is, we want to write it in the form of factorials. If that is what we need to write, we should first write these numbers in a form which makes sense to us, that the first number is n, the next number is 1 less than n, which is understood, that would be n minus 1. The next number would be n minus 2, which is understood, all the way up to n minus, if we take r minus 1, if we take minus common, and this is the last factor we can write, is n minus r minus 1. You can think that from minus r plus 1 we have taken negative common. So what is that number that will come next to it? If this is the number n minus r minus 1, the next number is definitely going to be n minus r. We have to subtract 1 from it. So this will be n minus r. Next number would be n minus r. N minus r is 1 less than n minus r plus 1. You can see it here as well. N minus r plus 1. If we take away 1 from it, this will give us n minus r. And similarly, if we continue to subtract, we can go up to 3 times 2 times 1. So what we have multiplied here is basically this n minus r and so on up to 3 times 2 times 1. This is what we multiplied, and in the numerator this gives us a product of natural numbers all the way up to n. Therefore this will be called n factorial, and in the denominator this is a product of natural numbers up to n minus r. Therefore, this would be n minus r factorial. So this is how we can write, and this example is going to be helpful in solving many questions later in the exercises. Remember that whenever you have n minus r plus 1, this up to n minus r is the number that you multiply and divide in order to bring it into this form. And next question is solve or simplify. Example, simplify. First question is 9 factorial over 6 factorial into 3 factorial. 9 factorial over 6 factorial into 3 factorial. If that is the case, just like before, we can write the product of natural numbers up to 9. So this would be 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And here is 6 factorial. This means 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And again there is 3 factorial. This means 3 times 2 times 1. You can cancel out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the denominator and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the numerator. What we are left with is this: 9 times 8 times 7 divided by 3 times 2 times 1. If we reduce this into lowest form, this will be 2 4 times and 3 3 times. So this would be 12 times 7. So this will be 12 times 7, and that would be equal to 84. And what next? There is one more example that we will do before we finish this lesson, that is 5 factorial into 0 factorial into 1 factorial. As we did in the start, 0 factorial is equal to 1 and 1 factorial is equal to 1. Therefore, 5 factorial is basically equal to 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and 0 factorial is 1 and 1 factorial is 1 again. This is in fact 5 times 4, that is 20, times 3 times 2 times 1, that is 6, and this is equal to 120. So this is all about factorials till now. That's how you can convert factorials and simplify factorials.